There is something so satisfying about flying premium economy. Some say it's a waste of money, I say they're dead wrong. Premium economy can be like the most adult decision that you've ever made. Comfortable enough so that when you get off the plane, you don't need to go to the chiropractor. Roomy enough so that you, your shoulders, and your knees can exist independently from your neighbor. And reasonable enough so that you won't need to choose between your vacation and your kids' education. That is not to say, though, that all premium economy is created equal. I'd say that Virgin's benefits from being their best class of service. Best overall package. Kind of like how business class on Qatar Airways is good enough to not need first, or how economy on Turkish Airlines is really their sweet spot. Virgin's premium economy is just good. And for the price that I paid, it's freaking fantastic. Let me welcome any of you that might be new to the channel. My name is Kevin. Over the last 5 years, I've flown over 130 airlines so I could bring you my self-funded, drama-free, and honest takes on them all. Not to mention the over 200 hotels and resorts that I've reviewed so far. Scan the QR code to explore the destinations I've covered and learn more about the channel. Without further ado, let's get flying. I took the Long Island Railroad to Jamaica Station to link up with the air train that runs between all of the terminals at New York's JFK. There's so much construction going on at the airport with the 2 new terminals being under construction that somehow New York train stations have become the more pleasant option than driving. As we head to the terminal to check in, let's talk briefly about new and shiny things. Today's video is the start of something new, but just a little bit. Later in the video, I'm going to break down the exact price that I paid for this flight and what you could expect to pay as well. I've also got a few new graphics to share, but first, welcome to season 28. I realized that with nearly 500 videos on the channel, the number can get lost. So I went back and broke down all of my content up into seasons, based on the trip that it was part of. None of that really matters, other than to say that this is the start of my 28th trip for the channel, and now that I'm posting in order, you'll get to follow along as I work my way through this 6-week trip, which was part content trip, part mattress run, and part vacation for me. This season is hopping across 14 countries, and we'll have 12 trip reports and 8 hotel videos. Delta owns 49% of Virgin Atlantic, and so they operate out of Delta's home at JFK, Terminal 4. Virgin has been a member of the SkyTeam Alliance for the past 3 years. I have SkyTeam Elite Plus status with Air France, so I was able to check in at the Sky Priority Lane and access Virgin's absolutely fantastic Club Lounge, which is definitely in my top 10 favorite lounges. Virgin Atlantic's current state of affairs is the result of 20 years of hard lessons, strategic compromises, and the gradual realization that personality alone does not fill airplanes. What began as a proudly independent long-haul carrier with a somewhat chaotic route map has settled into something far more deliberate, and frankly more sensible. But their route map does still stand out as one of the most unique for a full-service carrier. Today, Virgin Atlantic is an overwhelmingly transatlantic airline, and that is by design rather than by accident. London Heathrow remains the anchor, with Manchester playing a supporting but meaningful role. The unique thing about their route map is that Virgin doesn't fly short haul. In fact, they don't fly anywhere else in Europe. The airline's bread and butter is the UK to US corridor, where it serves major business and leisure markets like New York, Boston, Miami, LA, and San Francisco. In the US market, they're not about experimentation with new routes though. They have shelved a bit of their independent spirit, as now they're about filling SkyTeam gaps, as Virgin, Delta, Air France, and KLM have a transatlantic joint venture and they coordinate schedules. The last 2 decades made it clear that the US and their large network to the Caribbean is where they're most at home, so to speak. All of this is made possible thanks to their all-wide-body fleet, a mix of A330s, A330neos, A350-1000s, and 787-9s. My flight today was originally meant to be on an A330neo, but was swapped to an older model at some point. I'll explain why that was actually a welcome swap on board. The Virgin Clubhouse here at JFK is a great mix of Virgin's hip side with some really good food, which is all ordered a la carte. If you spend some time here and don't get the pistachio chocolate chip cookie, what are you actually doing with your life? If you're enjoying the video and would like to support the channel, there are many ways that you could do so. A quick like on the video and subscribe helps with the algorithm, or you could check out my Patreon, linked in the description below. On Patreon, I post everything from early access or Patreon-only videos, newsletters, my best tips and tricks to save money on travel, glimpses behind the scenes, detailed advanced itinerary maps, and much, much more. Think of it as a toolbox to save money on or simply improve your next trip, especially if it's to Southeast Asia. If you have questions about upcoming travel, I can help with that too. Whatever you do though, thanks very much for doing it. Boarding was on time. Virgin has an interesting boarding process which differs from, I think, all other alliance carriers out there, as they board SkyTeam Elites and Elite Plus after Premium Economy, giving priority only to their own Elite members. Not at all sponsored, but I started using a new Thule backpack on this trip, which I love so much that I bought a second one of them, just in case it's discontinued, as Thule tends to do. You can find it in my Amazon storefront, linked in the description, if you're curious about what I'm using these days. Here's my seat for the 7-hour ride, 24K. One quirk about Virgin's fleet is that the planes that have the much-hated herringbone business class seats are also the planes that have the most comfortable premium economy seats. The premium seats on their 787-9s are a solid inch or two wider than the rest of the fleet, and these older seats on the A330s are more padded and offer a bit more knee wiggle room than the version on their newer aircraft. Cutouts under the cocktail table like this give me that warm, fuzzy feeling as if someone, somewhere, was actually considering my comfort in this seat. It's thoughtful design details like that that actually built a series that I'm filming this year all about premium economy. I chose the 8 flights that I'll fly in premium this year not based on the routes or the airline, but based on a deep dive into the actual seats, and choosing the ones that I think will really provide the most comfort, which for me is the only reason to choose premium economy. Sparkling wine and menu cards were passed out, and then we sat there for a good while at the gate, waiting for a slot to push back. The flight crew were excellent with keeping us updated and apologized for the delay.
5 minutes, and fairly long flight time as well, so we'll probably be getting in a few minutes too much. If you want to apologise in advance, but there's nothing we can do. We're flying as quickly as we possibly can to get you back to London Heathrow as quickly and safely as possible.
We waited long enough that the sun just called it quits. As for in-flight comforts, I find it funny how polar opposite Air France and Virgin Atlantic are with their in-flight offerings. Here on Virgin, the pillow and the blanket have got to be straight out of economy, whereas the food could pass as business class on some airlines. On Air France, the pillow, blanket, and amenity kit were impressive quality, but the food was a glorified economy offering. It's inconsistencies like that that convince me it's all about the seat itself. At nearly $30 for the full flight, Wi-Fi was a big pass for me. The meal service started with drinks and corn chips. Here's the full menu for both meals. Once we get rid of all the foil and plastic and straighten things out, this tray of food is really putting the premium in premium economy. On offer, we started out with a Greek salad, also known as a regular salad with 2 cubes of feta. For the main dish, there were 3 options: the seared spinach stuffed gnocchi, roasted cod, or what I had, the 3-cup Asian-style braised chicken with steamed rice and stir-fried vegetables. Things were rounded off with the cheese plate consisting of karst cave-aged cheddar and Green Hill camembert. And finally, an incredibly indulgent chocolate chip pecan tart. It's nice of them to offer the same pinchable salt and pepper shakers that they use in upper class. Overall, I have to give the full meal service a solid 9 out of 10. This older seat has, of course, an older IFE system, but the screen is clear and responsive enough with a good selection of movies and a newer generation moving map. Service on board was the version of Virgin that I really enjoy. Energetic, chatty, and pretty attentive without being over the top. Premium Economy also gets an amenity kit, which isn't really too far off from the upper class kit, with all the essentials. Bathrooms were kept very neat and tidy throughout the flight, and before I knew it, there was another full meal on its way. This tray was given to me 4 hours and 1 minute after the previous meal began. There were 3 choices: breakfast porridge, ratatouille omelette, or what I got, the cooked breakfast with scrambled eggs, pork sausage, mushrooms, roasted potato, baked beans, and tomatoes. This is all just way too much food for a 6.5 hour flight. If I wasn't reviewing this flight, I would have skipped this meal entirely. That said, it was good overall, though everything did kind of become the same texture in the cooked breakfast dish. 8.2 out of 10. Wet wipes and candies were passed out afterwards, and soon we were beginning our approach into London Heathrow as the sun began to rise. Let's talk money. I mentioned previously that this flight might be one of the best deals that I found in a long time, and this is one of the reasons why I really do love Virgin's frequent flyer program. You can consistently snag one-way premium economy flights for 10,500 points. When I booked my flight, there was a transfer bonus from my credit card as well, so that puts this flight under the $300 mark, which is an incredible value. On the same route on a full-service carrier, I think $600 is a good price point, coming in at around $1,300 for a round trip. One of the strange times where a round trip ticket might be more than 2 one-ways, since the taxes and fees when flying out of the UK are much higher. After my previous less than inspirational upper class flight on Virgin, I had them sitting down at a 4. Today's flight had me looking at the airline as a 7 or an 8, so we'll split the difference and move them up to a 6, which feels about right. I was in London for just under 4 hours, and I needed to make my way to the far-flung Terminal 4 to catch my next flight to Malta. So I really do hope that you enjoyed today's video and the small changes that I've made. If you did, please be sure to click the like button and subscribe with notifications on for 2 new videos each week. I'll see you next time on KM Malta Airlines. As always, thanks for watching until the end.